this video is about. Athena defends temple but monster escapes. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the time of gods and titans, when the earth trembled under the weight of divine ambitions and mortal struggles, there existed a temple so majestic that it was said to be a bridge between realms. The temple of Athena stood atop the hill of Acropolis, its luminescent marble glimmering beneath the watchful gaze of the sun. Here, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, bore witness to the prayers and fears of her people. The skies were a tumultuous gray as storm clouds gathered overhead, their dark whispers promising calamity. An unease settled over the city of Athens, a sense that destiny was stirring. Not far from the temple, the sea roared angrily against the cliffs, as if warning of the chaos to come. As the sun dipped low, casting elongated shadows, a figure cloaked in the shadows of the night approached. This was Gorgathos, an abomination born from the depths of despair, with scales like iron and eyes that burned with the fury of 1,000 suns. He was a creature forged in the darkest pits of the underworld, destined to wreak havoc upon the land of mortals. Rumors spread like wildfire of his impending arrival, and Athena, sensing the disturbance in the very fabric of fate, readied herself for war. The temple's sacred doors swung open as the goddess emerged, her armor gleaming like the stars above. Athena's presence radiated strength. Roar echoing like thunder across the hills. Steel met scale, and the battlefield erupted into chaos. The warriors fought fiercely, thrusting their spears and swinging their shields, aiming for the monster's vulnerable spots. Gorgathos swiped with talons sharp as poisoned daggers, sending men sprawling, but Athena was a whirlwind amidst the storm, guiding her warriors, rallying them with every strike. "Do not falter," she cried, pushing her spear through Gorgathos' flesh. The monster howled in agony, a sound that sent shivers through the bravest hearts. Yet fury overtook him and he retaliated, knocking several warriors to the ground. As the battle raged on, Athena noticed a glimmer in the corner of her eye. A sigil, a symbol of ancient magic inscribed upon Gorgathos' hide, pulsed ominously. It was a tether to the underworld, a connection that granted him resilience beyond mortal comprehension. "Stay clear of the monster's left flank," Athena commanded, realizing that the sigil was the key to Gorgathos' strength. Her warriors, fighting through their fear, adjusted their formations, but Gorgathos was relentless. With every swing, his fury unleashed chaos upon the beleaguered ranks of hoplites. Her heart heavy with the weight of lives teetering on oblivion, Athena summoned her divine power. A bright light surrounded her, illuminating the battlefield, and for a moment, all combatants paused in awe. "By the will of the fates, I invoke the strength of the ancients," she declared, her voice echoing through the storm. With a forceful thrust of her spear, she sent a bolt of divine energy toward Gorgathos. The creature staggered, its talons ripping through stone as it attempted to regain balance. Athena seized the moment, Lunging forward, her spear aimed at the sigil. But the ground trembled anew, and with a deafening roar, Gorgathos unleashed a torrent of dark energy from the sigil, a wave of despair that washed over the battlefield. The hoplites faltered as visions of their worst fears crept into their minds. Many fell to their knees, clutching their heads in agony, and the tide of battle began to turn. "We cannot yield," Athena shouted, her voice slicing through the darkness. "We are the guardians of Athens. We are forged in honor and courage, pushed through the shadows." Gathering her remaining strength, she charged once more, aiming for the sigil. But Gorgathos, with a desperate growl, lashed out, catching her off guard. His claws raked across her armor, leaving deep gashes that glimmered with divine blood. Pain surged through her, but Athena pressed on, her spirit unwavering. "For Athens, for our future," she roared, determined through the ages, a sound of pure rage and desperation. The battlefield fell silent, the warriors on both sides stunned. The monster staggered, his form beginning to dissolve as the power that sustained him waned. Suddenly, amidst the chaos of vanishing shadows, a dark fog enveloped Gorgathos. "No," Athena shouted, but it was too late. The creature, with a final defiant roar, was consumed by the fog, escaping into the ether. The battlefield was left in hushed disbelief, the hoplites rising to their feet as the remnants of the monster faded away. "What has happened?" one brave soldier cried, his voice trembling. Athena, panting and covered in blood, gazed into the distance where Gorgathos had vanished. "This victory was a Pyrrhic one," she admitted, her heart heavy with dread. "He escapes, but we have not seen the last of him. The darkness festers, and it will return." The remaining warriors gathered around her, eyes wide with fear, but a flicker of hope sparked within their hearts. They had faced the monster and survived. They had stood against the forces of despair. Yet the chill in the air whispered of a greater challenge ahead. Athena's brow furrowed as the storm clouds began to part, revealing the stars once more. "We must prepare," she declared, her voice steady. "Gorgathos will seek vengeance, and we must be ready to face him again. Honor demands it." As the night deepened, the heroes of Athens began to rally, fueled by their bravery and the promise of their goddess. They would not let fear consume them. Instead, they would forge their destiny anew, with Athena leading the charge against the shadows that threatened their world. But unbeknownst to them, in the shadowy corners of the earth, Gorgathos was awakening anew, a harbinger of doom that would return with vengeance in his heart, seeking the downfall of the goddess and her beloved city. The stage was set, and the threads of fate were weaving a tale of honor, tragedy, and an epic confrontation yet to come. As dawn broke, its golden rays piercing the remnants of night, silence fell over the battered battlefield. The gods above watched closely, for the dance of destiny was far from over, to be continued. As dawn's light stretched across the scorched earth, Athena stood at the forefront of the battlefield, her heart heavy with the burden of impending darkness. The temple's once pristine steps, now marred with the blood of both warriors and beasts, echoed with the whispers of the fallen. A soft breeze carried the scent of ash and iron, mingling with the first signs of hope. Yet, a shiver gripped her spine, urging her to remain vigilant. "Gorgathos will return," she murmured to herself, pacing atop the hill of Acropolis. Her thoughts wandered back to the creature's ferocious rage, the raw power of its claws, and the chilling promise of vengeance etched in its monstrous gaze. "But we shall not cower, not now, not ever." She turned to her warriors, who gathered around her, their faces a blend of exhaustion and determination. Among them was Lysander, a young hoplite whose bravery had shone through even the darkest moments of battle. His eyes, still wide with resolve, met Athena's, a spark igniting between them. "Goddess," he began, voice steady, "what must we do to prepare for Gorgathos' return? We are not merely warriors, we are the light of Athens. We owe it to our fallen to ensure this darkness does not prevail." Athena nodded, the weight of their loss pressing upon her. "We begin with unity. Strength lies not just in skill, but in the bonds we forge. We must train our hearts and minds anew, for the next battle will be unlike any we have faced." As the sun climbed higher, casting away the shadows of night, Athena led her warriors in rigorous training. They sparred under her watchful eye, practicing formations, wielding their spears with newfound vigor. The days turned into weeks, and the city of Athens hummed with a renewed energy, its citizens rallying behind their goddess and her brave defenders. Yet within the folds of the earth, Gorgathos stirred. The dark fog that had enveloped him thickened, twisting into a malignant form, fueled by rage and a primordial desire for revenge. He rumbled deep within the underworld, summoning the remnants of his vanquished spirit. His eyes glowed with malevolence, promising a reckoning that would outshine the dawn. "I will return," Gorgathos growled, the very stone walls of his prison trembling at his words. "Athena thinks she has won, but she has merely delayed the inevitable. I shall rise again, and when I do, the skies will rain fire." Back in Athens, the goddess of strategy and wisdom devised a plan unlike any before. "We must uncover the secrets of Gorgathos' creation," she declared to her warriors. "His escape from the sigil hints at dark forces at play. We shall seek the oracle of Delphi, for her visions may guide us in this hour of need." Excited whispers rippled through the ranks, but fear laced their hearts. The journey to Delphi was fraught with dangers, treacherous terrain, wild beasts and haunting spirits awaited them. Yet under Athena's unwavering gaze, they steeled themselves, for hope was a flame that could not be extinguished. As they journeyed through the mountains, the sun dipped low, casting elongated shadows upon the path. The air grew thick with anticipation. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the ground beneath their feet. From the dense thicket emerged a creature of legend, Chimera, a beast with the body of a lion, the head of a goat, and a serpent for a tail. It roared, a cacophony of fury that sent tremors through the hearts of the bravest. "Stand firm," Athena shouted, raising her spear. "This creature is but a distraction. We must not lose sight of our goal." But the chimera charged, flames erupting from its mouth. The hoplites braced themselves, shields raised as fire seared the air. Lysander, feeling the heat radiate towards him, surged forward. "For Athens!" he cried, throwing a spear that pierced the creature's lion's flank. The beast recoiled, fury igniting its eyes. Athena and her warriors engaged, steel clashing against scale and sinew. They fought valiantly, and in a moment of desperation, Athena invoked her divine power. A blinding light enveloped her as she unleashed a wave of energy, toppling the beast. With a final roar, the chimera collapsed, vanquished by the goddess's might. Breathing heavily, Athena turned to her warriors, admiration flooding her heart. "You have proven yourselves today. Courage in the face of darkness is what will save Athens." They pressed on, the oracle of Delphi nestled within their sights. Upon reaching the sacred site, they found the air thick with incense, the atmosphere electric. The priestess, cloaked in shadows, beckoned them forth. "Goddess Athena," she began, voice echoing with wisdom. "Your heart beats with courage, but beware the shadows that loom. Gorgathos is but a piece of a darker tapestry woven by the fates. To face him, you must embrace the truth of your past." Athena's brow furrowed. "What truth speak, oracle? We cannot afford ambiguity." "Seek the temple of shadows," the priestess continued, "for there lies the key to Gorgathos' curse. But tread carefully, for there is betrayal in the heart of those closest to you." An uneasy silence stretched over the group. Who among them could betray the divine mission? Doubts crept like creeping vines through the hearts of the warriors. "Fear not," Lysander spoke, stepping forward. "No matter the treachery that may arise, we shall stand united. Honor binds us, we will not break." With renewed purpose, the heroes set forth toward the Temple of Shadows, a foreboding structure nestled deep within dark forests. As they approached, the skies darkened, a storm brewing overhead. The air hummed with the echoes of ancient secrets, foretelling challenges yet to come. Inside the temple, twisted shadows danced along the walls, whispering secrets of corruption. As Athena led her warriors deeper into the labyrinth of darkness, the air thickened, pushing against them like a physical weight. With every step, the sense of dread deepened, as if the walls themselves sought to swallow them whole. Suddenly, betrayal struck like a serpent's fangs. A figure emerged from the shadows, Dorian, a trusted hoplite who had fought valiantly by Athena's side. "Forgive me, my goddess," he said, eyes gleaming with treachery. "The darkness promises power, and I seek to wield it." Athena's heart sank as she felt the shift in the air. "Dorian, you cannot turn away from honor. Fight alongside us, and we can defeat Gorgatha." Into a monstrous form, a specter that lunged at Athena and her warriors. "Defend yourselves," she commanded, bracing for the onslaught of betrayal. They fought fiercely, the clash of steel reverberating through the darkened halls. Lysander, with every ounce of courage, faced Dorian. "You were a brother to us," he shouted, dodging a strike. "This is not the way. Do not preach to me." Dorian spat, his eyes wild with fervor. "I shall become a god." The battle raged on, with Athena rallying her warriors against Dorian's dark specter. In an act of sheer bravery, Lysander lunged forward, aiming to disarm Dorian. The betrayal hung thick in the air as he grasped Dorian's arm, their eyes meeting in a moment of frozen time, memories of brotherhood flashing before them. "I will not let you fall into darkness," Lysander cried, his voice a mixture of anguish and resolution. With a desperate twist, Dorian wrenched free, unleashing the shadows upon Lysander. But Athena, fueled by fury and sorrow, unleashed her strength, summoning a blinding light that pierced the darkness. The shadows recoiled, and Dorian staggered, caught between worlds he could not escape. "Choose," Athena implored, her voice a sharp blade cutting through the chaos. "Choose the light, Dorian. Together, we can vanquish Gorgathos." In that moment of uncertainty, the shadows faltered, allowing clarity to breach the darkness. Dorian's eyes flickered, caught between the allure of power and the bonds of love. But the darkness surged once more, and with a final, anguished roar, he was consumed, lost to the abyss. "No," Lysander cried out, reaching for him, but it was too late. The shadows enveloped Dorian fully, snuffing out the remnants of the man he once was. Athena felt the weight of the loss settle upon her heart. "We cannot dwell in sorrow. The fight is not over," she said, steeling herself. "We must reach the heart of the temple. The truth awaits." As they pressed deeper into the labyrinth, the air shimmered with a palpable energy. At the center of the temple lay a pedestal, where an ancient scroll radiated with divine light. Athena approached, heart racing with anticipation. "Here lies the truth," she. As Athena unfurled the ancient scroll, a shimmering light spilled forth, illuminating the temple's shadowy recesses. The text glowed with ethereal energy, revealing a prophecy written in the language of the ancients. "In darkness, a monster shall rise, born of betrayal, seeking vengeance across the realms. Only through sacrifice shall the beast be bound." Athena's heart quickened, and she read the words aloud, the cadence of her voice echoing against the stone walls. "To defeat Gorgathos, one must willingly embrace the darkness, for only then can the light shine through." A chill swept through the air, as if the temple itself shuddered at the weight of the truth. "What does it mean?" Lysander asked, stepping closer, his brow knitted in concern. "Sacrifice. How can we sacrifice anything more than we already have? The price may be steep, but it is the only way," Athena replied, her voice steady, yet pained. "We must find a way to turn the darkness against itself, to harness its power for our cause. But it will require a soul willing to tread the path of shadows." A thick silence enveloped the group, the implications of her words sinking deep into their hearts. Each warrior exchanged glances, fear and courage wrestling within them. The shadow of betrayal lingered, the memory of Dorian's fall casting a pall over their spirits. But they were united in purpose and had to become the guardians of Athens. Suddenly, a low growl reverberated through the temple, accompanied by a tremor beneath their feet. The walls quaked as Gorgathos' presence loomed closer, the air electrified with dark energy. "He is coming," Athena shouted, urgency lacing her voice. "We must prepare ourselves. No more games." A voice snarled from the depths of the shadows, and Gorgathos emerged, towering over them, an embodiment of primal malice. His scales glistened like obsidian in the temple's dim light, and his eyes burned with an insatiable hunger for revenge. Yet amidst the encroaching darkness, Athena felt a flicker of hope. The scroll had hinted at a way to bind the monster, and she would not let this opportunity slip away. "Warriors of Athens," she declared, raising her spear high, its tip glowing bright with divine energy. "We stand together against the darkness. We face our fears." Charging forward. As Gorgathos turned his wrath toward him, Lysander dodged, using the pillars of the temple as cover. "Athena, I will distract him," he shouted, dodging yet another swipe. "I will not let you." Athena countered, but Lysander was already in motion, weaving between the beast's strikes. He hurled a spear toward Gorgathos' left flank, aiming for the sigil that had once tethered the creature to the underworld. The spear struck true, but the sigil, though cracked, pulsed with dark energy. Gorgathos howled in rage, his eyes locking onto Lysander with a terrifying ferocity. "Foolish mortal, you think you can challenge me?" With a thunderous leap, Gorgathos lunged, but Athena intervened, plunging her spear into the ground, summoning a barrier of radiant light. The barrier cracked and sparked as Gorgathos' claws met its surface. "Lysander, fall back," she commanded, drawing upon her divine strength. But the young warrior was undeterred. "I will not run, I will face him," he shouted, feeling the weight of honor push him forward. He leaped onto a crumbling pillar and launched himself at Gorgathos, his determination an unquenchable flame. "Lysander, no," Athena cried, but he was already soaring through the air, spear aimed at the beast's chest. The impact echoed like thunder and Gorgathos staggered, but the creature retaliated, lashing out with a tail of darkness. Lysander barely dodged, rolling to regain his footing. "We can't let him escape," he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. Athena's heart raced as she called upon the ancient scroll. "I will bind you, Gorgathos," she yelled, channeling her power into a radiant bolt that surged from her spear toward the sigil. The energy arced like a comet across the temple, striking the sigil and causing it to pulsate violently. "No!" Gorgathos roared, his fury shaking the very foundation of the temple. "You think you can hold me?" The sigil erupted, sending shards of dark energy found. She needed a bond forged in love and loss. "Lysander," she called, urgency lacing her voice. "You must sacrifice your fear, allow it to merge with the darkness, and together we can bind him." I don't understand," Lysander stammered, confusion etched across his face. "What do you mean?" "Embrace the shadows that haunt you. Only then can you wield the light to seal him," Athena urged, feeling the energy around them spiral, the balance of light and dark hanging by a thread. With each heartbeat, the chaos intensified, and Lysander felt the weight of his fears, the loss, the betrayal, the sorrow. "I will face them," he shouted, determination igniting his heart. He stepped forward, allowing the darkness to envelop him, merging with Gorgathos' energy. "No," Athena cried, reaching out to him, but the power surged around them, intertwining their fates. "Lysander, you must hold on. Together, we will forge a new destiny." In that moment, the brilliance of her spear flared as light and shadow collided, forming a vortex of unimaginable energy. "Bind him," she commanded, pushing every ounce of her divine will into the core of the tempest. Gorgathos roared, fury and fear mingling as the light surged toward him. "You cannot do this," he howled, but as the shadows around Lysander intertwined with Athena's light, he felt the grip of his own darkness tighten. With a final surge, the energy exploded outward, engulfing the temple. The walls trembled, and the ground shook as a blinding flash of light erupted from the sigil, sealing Gorgathos' dark power within. Together, Athena cried, her voice echoing through the collapsing structure. "We can do this, Lysander. Focus." And in that moment of unity, the darkness shattered, and the echoes of Gorgathos' howls were silenced, the sigil glowing brightly as it sealed the monster within. But the victory was bittersweet. The temple shuddered, and cracks began to form in the ancient stones. "We must escape," Athena shouted, her heart heavy as she grasped Lysander's arm, pulling him away from the collapsing structure. As they fled, the temple behind them as the temple of shadows crumbled around Athena and Lysander, debris fell like rain, the echoes of battle mingling with the roars of rage from the imprisoned Gorgathos. Dust filled the air, thick and choking, but Athena's heart raced with a mix of triumph and dread. The darkness had been contained, but the cost weighed heavily upon her spirit. "Keep moving," she shouted, grabbing Lysander's arm tightly, her grip a lifeline as they weaved through the collapsing ruins. The walls trembled and the ceiling buckled, threatening to bury them under the weight of their triumph's price. "We can escape. We must warn Athens of the darkness that still lurks." "Goddess," Lysander gasped, his face pale but resolute. "What if Gorgathos finds a way to break free?" "The city needs us." Just then, a thunderous crash shook the ground beneath their feet, a portion of the temple collapsing in a cascade of stone and shadow. Panic surged through Lysander. "We won't make it. The temple is collapsing around us." With a fierce will, Athena pulled him forward, forcing herself to remain calm. "Focus, Lysander. We've faced worse than this. Trust in your strength and the bonds we forged. We will not yield." They sprinted through the chaotic ruins, shadows flitting around them like specters, whispering of despair and loss. The remnants of the temple twisted in the flickering light, ancient carvings of forgotten gods and monstrous beasts telling tales of a world long gone. The air thickened, as if the darkness sought to claim them once more, but they pressed on, hearts pounding in unison. Emerging into the open air, they finally broke free from the temple's grasp. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the land, a stark contrast to the shadows they had just escaped. But as Athena looked back, she felt a cold shudder run through her. The temple, a beacon of wisdom, had been corrupted by darkness. "Gather the hoplites," Athena called, her voice ringing with urgency as she scanned the horizon for her loyal warriors. "We must fortify Athens before Gorgathos can strike again." As she turned, Lysander grabbed her arm, his eyes intense. "Athena, what about Dorian? What if he?" "Dorian is lost to us," she interrupted, her heart heavy with sorrow. "We cannot dwell on the fallen. We must honor their sacrifice by ensuring that their deaths were not in vain." With that, they raced down the hill toward the city, their spirits ignited by determination. As they approached the gates of Athens, they found the streets alive with activity. Citizens hurried to fortify their homes, their faces painted with fear and urgency. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a glimmer of fear rule our hearts. Days turned into nights, and the citizens of Athens worked tirelessly alongside the hoplites, barricading every entrance, forging weapons, and gathering supplies. Athena moved among them, her presence a guiding light, instilling of power within her. We must harness our unity. She called out, the words echoing through the chaos. Together, we can bind him once more. The warriors gathered around their goddess, an unbreakable circle of determination. This is our moment, Athena shouted, raising her spear high, its light cutting through the darkness. Channel your energy into the sigil. We can cast him back into the abyss. With unwavering resolve, the hoplites joined their strength with Athena's, focusing on the sigil that now pulsed ominously in Gorgathos' presence. Together, they cried, their voices merging into a single force of will. Athena thrust her spear forward as the light coalesced around them, illuminating the battlefield like a beacon of hope. By the will of Olympus, we bind you, Gorgathos. The sigil flared with radiant energy, surging toward Gorgathos, who roared in defiance. You cannot keep me, he howled, grappling against the power that sought to restrain him. Yet the combined strength of the warriors and the goddess bore down upon him, the light pushing back the darkness. Fight, fight for honor, fight for our city. Athena cried, her heart and spirit intertwining with the courage of her warriors. As the sigil enveloped Gorgathos, his form began to dissolve into shadows, but not without a final, anguished roar. You may bind me this time, but I will rise again. Darkness will always find a way. With a blinding flash, the sigil exploded, casting a wave of light across Athens, dispelling the shadows that had threatened to engulf the city. Gorgathos' howl faded into the ether, leaving behind an echo of dread and a promise of return. As the light settled, Athena and her warriors collapsed to their knees, panting heavily, the weight of their victory both exhilarating and exhausting. We have triumphed, Athena murmured, gazing at her brave warriors, whose faces reflected a mixture of relief and sorrow. But their victory was not without its costs. The shadows of the fallen lingered in the air,